Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. You guys, it has been forever. It's been like a month since we've done one of these shows live. I've missed you guys. It has been crazy. Just the first two shows, we were just talking to the camera, and I love seeing everybody. Good morning, Dan, and good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Ellen. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Greta. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys so much for checking in. I hope you guys had a fantastic holiday and a very happy new year. And the update here from St. Louis is it's all of a sudden 17 degrees, which feels ridiculously cold to us this morning, but is actually quite seasonal because it's been like so many weeks in this fake fall that we've been having. It has been forever. The second thing, so I put out a post in our Facebook group. I don't know if you guys are watching the national news, but there are 4 loose monkeys and 1 loose goat in St. Louis that they can't seem to catch. I think they've been loose for about a week now. And so all the memes, kudos to the social media manager at the St. Louis Blues because they are doing a fantastic job. But what I'm finding is what they're saying is that all these fake memes people are putting out are actually misdirecting them as they're trying to find the monkeys and the goats. So it is the world we live in where AI is actually directing a search for 5 lost animals in the metropolitan area. So, all right. Hello, everyone. We have a great show today. We are going to be talking about large scale print. We all have them. We all love them. And like most people, we probably haven't sewn them because we're a little worried about you guys tips and tricks to actually go into your stash, find those lovely fabrics and start sewing them together. We've got some to show you in case you're wondering what a large scale print is versus a medium scale. If you don't know what those words mean, we will help give you the tools to be able to tackle your stash. I'm also going to show you some resources that are available to you on the internet that are free, that are just living there for you to just go grab and be able to use in your projects. And I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of mindset help as you tackle these projects. But first, we're going to start as we always do with questions that have been submitted by you guys. So go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question. They are here on the table when I sit down. I have not seen them ahead of time. Let's see where this morning's adventure takes us. I have no doubt after a month off the air, we have some fun questions here. All right. Our first question comes from Linda Patterson from Boise, Idaho. Thanks so much for your question, Linda. She asks, I'm working on my first puzzle mystery quilt and I'm about halfway through. I absolutely love it so far. Yay! And I'm wondering, can I make it bigger? I'd love to turn this into a queen size quilt instead of the throw it's designed for. What are my options for enlarging it without throwing off the whole design? Okay, so we get this question a lot. You love the puzzle mystery quilt. The design is fantastic. It's not something you normally would have made on your own. How do you make it bigger? And so the first and the easiest way to take a puzzle mystery quilt and make it bigger is to add borders, right? And so you're going to take it and you're just going to add borders until it gets to be the size that you want. Now, if you're doing a small size puzzle mystery quilt, you're going to have to add a lot of borders to make it a queen or a king. It can be done. It's just going to be a lot of fabric. And so in those cases, adding the border is, like I said, the easiest way to do it. You can add one solid border, which is so get the finished size you want, get what the size is of your quilt, divide it in half and add a border that goes all the way around. That is a lot of fabric. And it's also depending on what you're starting with, can also do some disproportionate things to your design. If you have a small and you want to add like a 14-inch border on each side, all of a sudden all you're going to see is that border. So that's where sometimes you see creativity online where people do a narrow border and a thick border, or they do, think of it like a frame. If you were to go to a Michael's and you saw matted frames, if you're matting your artwork, when you come up with a border. And so how do you want it to be? You can definitely do the frame that is very simple. You can do 3, 4, 5 colors. I've seen people get super creative. And once they see the finished design of the puzzle mystery quilt, they'll take elements of that and put them into the border as well. So that way it's not one continuous piece, but perhaps as an enhancement of the initial design to make it bigger. Unfortunately, with the puzzle mystery quilt, this isn't one where you can make it bigger by adding sashing. I know that's, oh yeah, we're going to talk about that background in a minute, Patch. But I know that with a lot of traditional block of the months, if you have like a block and you're making 3 across and 4 tall, it's real easy to just add sashing and all of a sudden everything moves out a little bit. We can't do that with the puzzle mystery quilt program because the blocks are meant to be puzzle pieces. And so you can't take a puzzle you've got on your table and add spacers and make it bigger. You've got to definitely work with borders to make it bigger all the way around. And so it's one of these, you know, you can definitely add borders. You can choose it from the existing fabric in the collection. You can do all of these things. We also have our border kits, which we sell. The difference between buying fabric yourself for a border and buying our border kits is we cut all of our border fabrics run of fabric. So it's one continuous piece. As a home quilter, you're going to buy like a yard and you're going to cut it with the fabric and piece it. That definitely works. But with the border kits that we have, they're cut running yardage. And so they are typically, they distort less. They are typically easier to sew. And you don't have to worry about, as Dominic has taught us, the warp and the weft of the fabric because of the border kits and the way Cotton Cuts cuts them. They are cut to not stretch and not distort as much as if you were cutting them at home with the fabric. Let's see here. Savannah's, she's advocating for the matting style border. She's absolutely right. Like the like, and I've met people who every quilt they've ever made, they have a pattern. There's a 3-inch border, a 1-inch border, and a 5-inch border. And they know that every quilt they've ever made since the beginning of time has 3-inch, 1-inch, 5-inch. If that is you, lean into that. That's fantastic. I think it depends on how much energy I have left at the end of a project for the complexity of the border. I'm done and I just want to be done with it. Okay, then I might not put a border on it at all. Or I'll get the, like, here's my 5 or 6 inch really wide border, or maybe even an 8-inch border just to make it the size I want. Again, it depends on how much energy. It depends on how much energy we have at the end. Deb, thank you so much. Don't forget to thumbs up, guys, this video as well. Let me see here. Yes, so the easiest is borders. You can get creative with it. I would suggest, especially if you're signing up for Fill the Dreamer, sign up for those border kits now. We won't have them in 10 months because we order our fabrics. And since we cut them the way that we do, it takes a lot of yardage to be able to cut our borders this way. This is not something that in 10 months we'll be able to go back to the manufacturers and get more fabric. So if you're looking at Field of Dreamers and you want to add a border kit, please, please, please go get that now. I don't want to have to tell you in 10 months I have no border kits left because we probably will not have them. All right. If you have a question about that, if you're chugging along on your mystery and you have a question, join the Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group. There's so many seasoned detectives there. They're all willing to help. It's a fantastic community that's willing to see you get to the end and make a quilt that you're going to be very happy with. And if you are that person that has a small and you want to make it to the king, I have no doubt there are tons of people there that'll be able to help you come up with nice, creative ways to get that to happen. Hello, everyone that's just joined. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for the question, Linda. That was a fantastic, good starter. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling back into this now. All right, so our second question today comes from Margaret Collins in Portland, Oregon. Margaret asks, I tend to buy fabric in bursts. I'll go months without buying anything, then suddenly buy way too much all at once. How do you organize fabric when buying it in big batches? I feel like it just becomes piles of chaos in my sewing room. Okay, so this is an experience share for me. So I had to clean my sewing room up because it became a bedroom over the holidays. We had 12 people living in our house and I needed the sewing room to put a bed into so people could sleep in there. And what I discovered is I have my fabric still in bags. I would go fabric shopping and it would go in a bag and it would go into the craft room exactly as Margaret has described. And I bet you there's more of us that do this than would like to admit. But you buy the fabric, it's in the bag, and then you put it in your sewing room and you're like, I'll get to it later. I'll get to it later. And so we've all been there. And so I'll share with you what I ended up doing is I was like, I'm going to take 30 minutes and I am going to sort through all of this fabric. I am going to put it into my organization system that I've spent a lot of time setting up. And I am going to put it away because if it's in a bag, I can't see it. I'll never use it. I'm going to forget about it. And by the time I get this many bags, it's completely out of my mind. So what I did is I took 30 minutes and I sorted it. For me, I sort by color first and then by pattern second. But you might have a different system. Perhaps you sort by manufacturer. Perhaps you sort by designer. Perhaps you sort pre-cuts in a different way. But the idea is once you get the fabric, put it away. Now, if you have acquired it for a specific project, I am going to ask you to give your future self a gift and put a note on that fabric. What did you mean for it to be with? Is it part of a project? If it's part of a project, put it with those fabrics. I had fabric that I acquired in Alaska. And so I actually put it with all my Alaskan fabrics. When on my trip to New Orleans, I had fabric that's going to be added to my New Orleans quilt. So I put it with the New Orleans fabrics. If it's meant for a specific purpose, make sure you're documenting that because I know we have all been there where we pull out a fabric and we say, what was I thinking? Why did I get this? What was I thinking? And I think just putting that note, we did in our advent calendar a year ago, we had in our countdown notions box, we had a roll of tape from Kylie and the Machine. And so that tape, it's acid free. It's meant to be used on fabric. It's meant to come off and not leave a residue behind. But you can actually write on it what the fabric is, who the manufacturer is, because if you have a batik, you are never going to find it again unless you document your information on it. But you can actually put the label right on the fabric, what project it's meant to be used for, and how much of it there is. Because for me, I refold my fabric when I put it in my stash, and I can't look at it and tell, oh my gosh, it's 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards, or in the case, is it a half yard? And I think having that information right on the outside when you see it will help you, especially if you have a project that asks for a half yard of fabric and you pull it out and it's actually just a 1/4 yard of fabric, or it doesn't meet your dimensional needs. That way you don't have to measure every piece before you use it. You want to minimize those barriers when you're ready to sew, so that way you can get to sewing as quickly as possible, which is the fun part, versus the, okay, I got to pull it out. I need a half yard. It's instead of 18 inches, it's 15 inches. I can't use it. Okay, Margaret, I hope that helps you. But I also want you to know you are not alone. There are a lot of people that are definitely in the same boat as you. And, we've all been there. It's really just making sure that you're diligent. And I'm like you. I will go for a long period of time and not add any fabric to my stash. And then all of a sudden, here come these fat quarters that I didn't anticipate acquiring. Or I'll go on a trip. I'll go on a cotton kits retreat. All of our retreats now have a shop hop day. And you're going to all these shops and they all have different things that you don't have local to you. And so you acquire all these fabrics. And on those, when you have a shop hop, you get a lot of fabrics. And so making sure that you're being diligent and putting those all away. Or if it's a project that you're super excited about and you want to make now, make sure that goes on your sewing table. So that way it's the next thing you see and you don't forget about it because it's still in this store bag that you purchased it in. Okay. Those are all the questions we had for today's show. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit a question for us to answer live on our show next week. These were fantastic questions. I love talking about these things. I love being kind of vulnerable and like admitting that you buy fabric and you don't necessarily put it away immediately or sew it immediately, because that's reality. That's what quilters are and do. Ellen Ford is asking if we're going to restock in the Night Glow 108 backing. At this time, no, because those fabrics are out of stock at the manufacturer. They did see that they're looking at possibly doing a reprint. We will keep you posted if that happens. Sarah Wright says, I'm doing a stash busting challenge from a small shop because fabric buying is a very different hobby from fabric using. Yes, that is absolutely true. Well, Patch, thank you. I've had these earrings for a while. I was told that things 70s and 90s are coming back, that it's becoming a hodgepodge between the two. And so I feel like this hits that note. All right, we're going to talk about our next segment, which we added a couple weeks ago, where you guys get to share with us what is on your sewing table. So what are you guys sewing today? What are you working on? This is in the spirit of our show and share, which we announced on Monday. Carrie brought in a fantastic project that she was working on where she's actually making foundation paper piece triangles into squares, and she's trying to figure out how to finish them now that she's created all these fantastic strip projects. What are you guys working on? What's on your sewing table? I will share my sewing table is currently occupied with a puzzle that Lincoln got for Christmas. He has been putting it together. It is 3,000 pieces. It is a tree of life. It's kind of interesting how these things all tie together. I'm hoping he finishes it soon because I want to get back to sewing. Okay, that's what's on my table. I wish it was something more exciting than that, guys. All right, so let's talk about what's been shipping in the shop over the past couple weeks. So Java shipped, Cuddle shipped, Chroma Book, Modern Maker, a Chroma thread. They've all shipped. All the things have been shipping, guys. We've been having a fantastic, good time getting things out the door to you. The one piece where we are slightly behind, we had a huge blowout sale and we had our daily draw. We had a lot of work at that, you guys. So we are still getting caught up. If we were short some yardage here or there, we've already sent out a ton of emails to you guys. I anticipate we will be probably next Monday or so, be completely caught up with all the things from the blowout sale. But you guys were so supportive in that. And I know I see things online about, hey, I placed an order with like Hancock. So I placed an order at a company that was having a big sale and it's been a week and it hasn't shipped. Guys, you have to give us all grace. We didn't hire a whole bunch of employees for big sales and big peak times. So we're getting it out. You're going to get your fabric. I promise you, everything is going to be shipped and it will be on its way to you and in your hands very, very, very soon. Okay, you guys are working on all these projects. I love it. I love your ambition. In January, it's also my kind of winter sleep month. So Savannah's working on a baby quilt using Moda Botany. Shirley is six. She needs to get 6 of Under the Sea Shipwreck, getting caught up on many block of the month. Terry, Jan is about half done with the Small Wild West as a quilt in a box. Yeah, I love quilt in box. Woohoo! Lori's working on Under the Sea, PMQ, Team Oasis. Are there border or wide backs left for Oasis? Lori, that's a fantastic question. Go ahead and email into help@Cotton Cuts, and Carrie will see what can be done for Oasis. Let's see, a donation quilt for a silent auction. Dannon is working on a baby quilt for a friend. You guys are fantastic. Let's see here. Younger generations recently saw a segment, Younger Generations Doing Grandmother Things like crocheting and quilting. Hope the skills are never lost. Yeah, Patch. So let's talk about, we're going to go down that rabbit hole for a second. So it's interesting. I feel like there's kind of this lost generation of crafters. They're usually kind of the 30-ish to 45-ish, generally. Now, I'm not saying everyone, but generally. And I feel like their parents were crafters. And there's this grand millennial concept coming up that are crafters and sewers. And I feel like there's a lost generation in the middle. But on the ends of the spectrum from an age perspective, there is a lot more crafting going on. There's a lot more mobile crafting going on. It is definitely coming back. And as we look at quilting for us, there's an under 35 crowd that we were looking at bringing back and engaging. They are becoming what's the new modern, as opposed to those that are currently calling themselves modern. And so it's creating all this generational churn. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the next 5 to 10 years hold for us, Patch. But you're absolutely right. Younger generations, the number of people, I think in my neighborhood, there's about 10 girls that I have taught how to sew using sewing machines that their mothers have bought and never used. And so that's just kind of the generation that we're living in. Let's see here. Kay is finally working on Floral States. I love that quilt. That's fun. You're going to learn so much different blocks. And it was more of a sampler program. I loved how it turned out. Marlene is sorting her stash, aspirational, and a fantastic January project. All right. Savannah is 35 and enjoying every moment of her inner grandma. Old soul, Savannah. I see you. I hear you. Okay. Let's see. Where were we talking? Oh, we're talking about things that are working on and being shipped. So the team is working on Field of Dreamers, and has been since the beginning of January. And so they are die cutting. They're die cutting over those million pieces. In fact, most of the die cutting is all done. And now we are in kitting. And so what that means is they are taking these million pieces. Think about this for a second. Million triangles, squares, rectangles, and they are putting them into the little packages that you guys get and receive each month. So think about that. That just doesn't there's no gnome that comes through and waves their magic wand and that happens. And so they're manually counting 6 of this and 4 of this and 2 of this and 4 and 16 of that. And they're putting all that together. And so that's taken a good chunk of time because we have processes to make sure that everything is done correctly, that every package is labeled correctly, that everything is put in the right place. And so we are going to start shipping Field of Dreamer pre-K kits next week. So those are going to be leaving the shop. They have a ton of fun things in them this time, you guys. We've been working really hard on gifts. We've been working hard on the inserts and the artwork and all the fun things that go into that to make it as fun as possible for you guys. So those will start shipping next week. We have the tracker on the website. We have Night Glow in the shop. That's the one that we're still actively die cutting, but everything else is in kitting and getting ready to ship phase. So we are very proud of how far they've done on that. Don't forget to get your borders and your backing orders in for Field of Dreamers as well. It's easier to order them now. because if you wait too long, we might not have it. And in 10 months, these collections aren't going to be as fresh and you might not be able to find the fabric that you are looking for. So let's be proactive in that front. Give your future self a happy dance today. We're also getting ready for luau. So luau is our third Mystery 5-0 quilt. So Mystery 5-0, as we talked about, it's gone through some changes over time. So I want to recap where we are so everyone understands. There are three what they're calling mega mysteries a year. So these are three larger size quilts every calendar year, or every year, every 12 months, excuse me, I shouldn't misspeak. And so luau is the third of our three. We started with aloha, then we did island hopping, and now we have luau. And so luau is the third of the three. If you participated in all three, you will get a fourth mystery pattern at the end that's going to be completely free to you. We'll have kits for them if you like it and you want to make it, and our kits will be die cut because that's what we do. But we're so excited about luau. I have been working a lot with this luau design. And I like it. I like it more than island hopping. Aloha is still going to be my favorite, guys. Aloha is, from what I've seen so far, Aloha was a lot of fun. I loved the creative interpretation there. I loved the different designs everyone's putting together. But as I look at luau, it has some design elements in there that we've not used here at Cotton Cuts before. And we're going to be having one kit that you'll be able to make two very different designs from by just having one kit. And so, and the two kits are different in shape and finished size, but you're using the same components. And so that'll be definitely different than the main Mystery 5-0 program, where they've got different yardage requirements for the different layouts. For us, it's going to be one kit to make both finished designs, or because we like when you get creative and do your own thing, you can put them together and make your own design too. But you'll have enough parts and pieces to do all of it together. We will have 6 pre-cut kits and 7 cut from the bolt kit. I know you guys liked that last time when we gave you guys yardage and you were able to cut your own fabric. We have, this design is going to use a cat's cradle ruler. And so we have that if you're cutting from the bolt to help you get that cat's cradle shape together. The colorways will be up on the website in the next day or so here. All the kits are going to go on sale February 1st. We do not have as many kits this time as we did last time because fabric at the end of last year was pretty short. So make sure that you get on. The pricing is going to be the same as island hopping. We're going to keep the price the same for this one as well. Don't forget, we have the shop your stash for those of you guys that want to get the patterns and be able to shop your stash. That is still an option. And when you do shop your stash, if you've done all 3 shop your stashes, you will get that 4th bonus pattern as well. Let's see here. Oh, and if you have missed at any point in time Aloha or island hopping, join us on the live show tomorrow. We are going to be doing a live sale. Dominic, my little partner in crime, is going to be here tomorrow. Dominic will be. We're going to be doing a YouTube live sale tomorrow at 1 o'clock. You will have an opportunity to get an Aloha and an island hopping kit, which will get you caught up for luau, and then you'll be able to join us for the 4th mystery as well. Also, yes, I'm getting a psst. Okay, so luau signups are February 1st. We start sewing on what date, Paula? March 4th. March 4th. Paula's birthday is when we start sewing the luau kits, and it's 1 clue a week, and then at 5 weeks we have the final reveal. Let's see here. Christine, she's doing her first PMQ. She's doing 3 for Field of Dreamers, and she's looking forward to it. You guys, I know we've got a lot of very seasoned detectives in the group. She is in for some fun. So sizes, Patch, I have those written down. I don't have them with me. We're going to do an in-depth look at luau on next week's show. And so I will definitely have the sizes then. Because of the way we are doing this and the one kit, our sizes are going to be just 1 inch bigger in all dimensions than every other shop is going to be doing. But we are going to have all those sizes ready for you for next week. Okay. I also want to talk a little bit about Platinum. So Platinum is our kind of one membership. I'm gonna go Lord of the Rings here and be totally dorky. It's one membership to rule them all. So when you are a Platinum member, you get your choice each month of our Classic membership, our Java membership, or our Modern Maker membership. And so we send you an email and you get to choose which one of those you want. And so what we have done is we have now consolidated all of our memberships for those under a Platinum membership. So if you go to the Cotton Cuts website right now, you cannot sign up for a Classic, a Java, or a Modern Maker. You can only sign up for Platinum because we want to, it makes it easier for us. It makes it easier for you guys. if to just join the Platinum membership. Now, if you want to just get a classic box every month, join Platinum, select Classic, you'll get a classic box every month. If you want to get a Java every month, join Platinum, put Java, you're going to get Java every month. But we're going to move all of our memberships into Platinum. We're kind of simplifying things here in-house for us. Just as these programs are getting bigger and bigger, we want to make sure that we're giving everyone the best service possible, and also making sure that you guys get what you want. That's really kind of our jam here, is to make sure you guys get what you want each month. So I wanted to make sure everyone's clear that Platinum, if you go to the website, where's Java? Where's Modern Maker? It is all now under Platinum. And so if you want to join, rejoin, sign up, you're going to be signing up as a Platinum member. We're going to be sending out a lot more emails about that in the coming weeks. We've had just a lot going on in the past month or so. And so we're letting things settle a little bit, but you'll see a lot more about Platinum in the coming weeks from us as well. All right. Beth is hooked. She loves the PMQ. She's hooked, line, and sinker. I love it. All right. Last, retreats. It seems like it's been forever since I've talked about retreats, and that is on me, gang. We've got some fantastic retreats coming up. We are going to Denver in March. Think spring break in Denver. Spring in Denver, mountains, fresh air, longer days. It is going to be a fantastic time in Denver. Denver is going to be our signature retreat, so it'll be a full week. We have Rebecca Bryan. She's coming in to teach us freezer paper piecing. We have a fantastic pattern that we are going to have, and I think it's 5-ish colorways, where you'll have an option to make just a block during the retreat, or get the supplies you need to actually make a full-size quilt that's, I think, 72 by 80-ish. Then we also have in Savannah, we're going to go to Savannah in May. That is going to be a shorter retreat. That is going to be just a puzzle mystery quilt exclusive to just Savannah. Come sew with us, do a shop pop, and head home. I love, love, love Savannah. Jana is joining us in Denver. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you then. So Chroma is not offered in Platinum. Marlene, that is correct. So we don't have Chroma as part of Platinum anymore. It's actually more supply chain related than anything. The cost of the thread is going up way too much, and we can't keep it at the same price we have been. And so we can't keep it at the same price as the fabrics. And so we've had to take Chroma and make it as a standalone. If you're an existing Chroma member, you'll still continue to get your Chromas as it is, but we had to take it off the Platinum bundle just because the pricing is becoming so inconsistent. And we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't have to shortcut anywhere else. So we did have to separate Chroma out. Let's see here. Savannah's taken one of Rebecca's online paper piecing classes. Yes, she's tons of fun, and she's located here in St. Louis with us as well. So we're excited to take her to Denver. And then lastly, we have New Orleans in August. I know Dannon is out there. We had a lot of fun last year in New Orleans, you guys, because the hotel is right on Bourbon Street. We would sew during the day when it was hot and gross and sticky, and then be able to go outside and enjoy the nightlife, enjoy the restaurants, come back and sew if you wanted to. We had a ton of fun in New Orleans, you guys. And so we look forward to having you join us in August. Okay, I think that is everything on the announcements and what's going on. It's been a little bit, yes. Sorry, what now? Okay, so yes, I am supposed to remind you guys for the YouTube live sale tomorrow. Don't forget to join. You have to register ahead of the event. That's because on YouTube, sometimes your username doesn't match your real name. It happens. Yes, I'm looking at you, Jana. I'm Jenny Draft. And so we want to make sure that when you claim things, that you are going to actually receive the items. So make sure you register. And this time on the registration page, we have put a sneak peek of the items that we're going to have on the show so that way you guys can see it ahead of time. We heard you when you said, oh, I don't necessarily know if I want to claim this because I don't know what else is coming. So we put everything that's going to be on the live show on the website now. So you can go, you can look, and you can get ready to claim it. Yes, there's a society meeting tonight, Jana. Great catch. So there'll be a sewing grill. We have our online Zoom sew-in group. It is hosted. I am getting the note that it is hosted by Carrie tonight. She's going to be your MC this evening. But come join whatever you're sewing in the Cotton Cuts world. Join us tonight on Zoom. That link is in several emails that have been sent out to everyone, as well as into the Facebook group. Make sure that you guys join us tonight. Okay, am I done? Okay, I'm getting the yes. I've gotten all the updates and the announcements. Now we can talk about the fun stuff. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about sewing with large scale prints. And so these are prints that have a motif or a scale that is bigger than, let's see, how do we do that on Zoom tonight? Okay, so Who's your life shine? If you join us on our Cotton Cuts mailing list, or if you go to Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group, the Zoom link is there. We put it in all of our emails that go out as well, or you can send a note to help at Cotton Cuts, and they can get you all the information about the Zoom Society as well as the New Orleans retreat. Okay. Large scale prints. So it's where a single motif might take up 6 or 8 or 12 inches of fabric. And so this is when you have a larger scale print that is very pretty, but it's not continuous. It's not an all over print. And so I have some examples of them. They're sometimes called statement makers. And they are, very beautiful to look at. You get them, you think they're really cool, and something stops you from sewing with them almost immediately because they're too pretty to cut up, or they're too pretty to you just love looking at them, and it's hard for you to actually use them. So what I'm going to start first is I'm going to show you some examples of a large scale print. And some of these you might have, the background. Sorry, let's patch. I completely forgot about the background back here. Thank you so much. Let me come back to that at the end, and I'll explain to you guys what the backdrop is, because I want to get through the large scale motif, because these are such pretty fabrics. I want to show them with you because they're actually lovely and very inspiring. So our first one, right? So known for almost like, this is Tulip Pink, right? So this is what she is known for, is a lot of her large scale prints, right? So she'll take a single motif and she will make a large scale print. Now, if I was estimating, so everyone knows your index finger is 3 inches. So that print is about 6 inches tall and it's about 5 inches wide, right? So if you want to look at just this animal, it is 6 by about 3 or 4, right? And so that is a large scale print. If you want to do a traditional quilt pattern where you've got a 3-inch block, you might get like leopard butt, or you might get like leopard nose, or something that's not the complete motif. And so that can be inhibiting to you to actually start cutting it up. Then I'm going to go to one of my favorite large scale designers. And so this one historically has been very, very hard for a lot of people to figure out how to cut. And that's anything by Keith Morris or Keith why am I thinking K Facet? I am having a day today, gang. K Facet. So this print here, right? I mean, look, so each one of those individual flowers is big. It hits the 6-inch mark at least, and they are so far apart. So if you're trying to find a quilt pattern and you want to put a blue in it and your block is small, you might end up getting more of this flower and it's not going to read as blue in your quilt, right? And so in this one, you might want to retain the shape and the geometry of some of these bigger flowers, and it's not going to read as a single color. And I think that's a general theme for most large scale prints, is they are hard to read as a single color in a quilt because they traditionally have more colors. And so if your pattern says find a light contrast fabric, okay, well, this one might be a light contrast, but then this one's going to be a coordinating fabric. And so it's really, really hard when you're looking at someone like Faith to get it to read as something that your pattern tells you to read. It's beautiful fabric, but it's hard to get it to read as something that your pattern says. Here's another one. This is Lux by McCower. And so in this fabric, I mean, my gosh, it could read as anything, right? This is one of those prints that it's not necessarily a single motif. It doesn't have that single artistic element that you would want to frame, but it has a large all over print that is really, really hard to, how do you get this to cut? Because if I cut this out in a square and then I want the image to repeat, but then I get this over here, it's very, very hard at this scale to figure out what to do with some of these prints because they're not going to read like traditional fabric. And then what I was saying about color, right? So again, another case print. You can get this to read as a hot color, but say you get a lot of this guy in your fabric and you really wanted a lot of these bigger lettuce pieces, right? It's really, really hard to get some of these to play like a traditional fabric in your quilt. And then when it comes down to large scale prints, we have a lot of novelty. And so these are fabrics that you find that are funny, that are cute, that are representative of an area you visited, that are just, you just don't want to cut them up because they are adorable as they are as yardage. And so I've got this one here because it's really funny. And so it's these birds, and these birds are totally drinking cocktails with sunglasses on. It's part of a collection. They've got little like lollipops in there, little suckers, right? It's so stinking cute. But how do you cut this up and put it into a traditional pattern, right? Because what makes this cute is those birds and those things they're holding and the thumbs up they're giving you and all the fun things that are in this. They've got like ice cream cones on the other side, right? How do you say, okay, I've got to get a quarter yard of fabric and cut it up into 3 7/8 half square triangles and retain the integrity of this fabric. So let's start first with kind of some of the fears that we have for these fabrics that prevent us from jumping in and using them. And so the fears that we have lead to inaction, and they lead us to keeping these fabrics as yards on our wall instead of made into quilts as they originally designed. So there's the fear of cutting through a motif. It's what I've really talked about as we've gone through these. You've got this bird you love, and you cut, and all of a sudden you've got bird butt. And then what do you do with the bird butt? Because it's not what you liked about it. Or, you've got this flower and you cut it, and all of a sudden you get all the stem and lose all the flower. Or you've got leopard butt. To be clear, some of the best quilts I've seen in the puzzle mystery quilts are when we die cut and we get like a unicorn butt that's perfectly centered on the piece. People like that thing. But if you like the fabric because of the unicorn and you get a unicorn butt, it might not work for you, and it's not going to give you joy. And you're afraid of that, so you don't want to cut into it or use it. Second, there's the concern that the design will get lost with busy piecing. So if you're doing a lot of small blocks, you're going to, like I said, you're going to lose the actual aesthetic of the material and why you bought it. And it's not going to be seen or appreciated as much as you want it to when you buy it, so you don't use it. There's a challenge of choosing the right pattern. And so, you've got this fabric and you love it and it's great. And then, oh, but what if I pick the wrong pattern and it sews up and I can't glue it back together once it's cut. Once it's cut, it's done. And I might not be able to find it again. So I don't want to cut it because if I put it in the wrong pattern, it's not going to work. And then the last is, you're overthinking it. I've never overthought anything in my entire life. To be clear, that is absolutely not true. But you overthink it, and because you're like, you have to find the perfect pattern with the perfect position and the perfect cutting and the perfect size. You paralyze yourself into not using the fabric. You psych yourself out, and you actually don't end up using it because everything has to be perfect instead of used, loved, and put into a final project. Let's see here. So the first thing to think about, and so normally when we have quilt projects, sometimes we'll start with a pattern and then we find the fabric and then we start cutting and we start sewing. When we have big, large scale motifs, I'm going to encourage you to flip around the order a little bit and to think about your process a little differently. And maybe that change might be enough, the catalyst, to get you out of the box and actually start to use this fabric. So, yeah, Tambias, yes, don't mix patterns well. Hopefully we're going to get past that in just a second here. So I am going to ask you to take your first step and think, how am I going to cut this fabric? Accepting the fact you're going to cut this fabric. How is the best way to cut this fabric? How do I want to cut this? Do I want to fussy cut it? Do I want to isolate specific motifs? And how big is that motif that I want to isolate? Do I want to just cut it up and just use it like a traditional fabric? And in which case, what is the smallest shape I want to use that I'll be happy with? And what is the biggest shape I want to use that I'll be happy with? So I want you to actually look at the fabric and think, how is the best way to cut it that is going to make you happiest? What is that size? What is that dimension? Do you have enough fabric to do it? I know a lot of us get these fabrics and we want to fussy cut them. And we think, hey, let's fussy cut it. It'll be great. And then fussy cutting has a lot of waste into it because you have all these extra parts and pieces. And before you know it, that single leopard in that Tula fabric, in order to get 6 repeats of it, you have to get 2 yards of fabric. And now it's a little different, but plan ahead. How do you want to cut these fabrics? Do you want to feature them? Do you want them to be a background? What sizing are you looking for? Because that's going to inform. Oh, and also, is it a directional print, right? This is very clearly a directional print, right? And if you cut this one and you have a pattern and you cut it without care and without planning for how you want to cut it, the bird's heads are going to be all going every rich different direction, which might be okay for you, but know that that's okay for you before you start cutting into this fabric. If it's important for you that all the bird's heads are going the same direction, make sure you have a plan for that. Make sure you have enough of the bird's heads so they can all go in the same direction. But have that plan ahead of time, just so that way you're on top of it. And with these fabrics, when we've been designing them for puzzle mystery quilts, we have found that if you have a large scale print and you cut it too small, it is just going to blur together. It is going to look like a blurry mess. It won't have any definition. It won't have any defining features to it. And it won't be the star of your quilt if you do cut it too small. So make sure when you're thinking about these fabrics, you start first with your cutting plan. You know how you're going to cut it and what size you want to make sure that the fabric reads the way you want it to be read. Then you're going to start actually looking for a pattern, right? Normally it's pattern, then we get the fabric. This time we're going to cut, think of how we want to cut it first, and then we're going to find a pattern that fits. And so when you're shopping for patterns for this, you're going to know what size you want. So if you know that leopard, you want it to be a 6x6 block, don't go find a pattern that has 3-inch squares. Don't go find a pattern that has 12-inch squares, right? Know what the sizes are that you want, and then find the pattern that is going to highlight the fabric the way that you want it to work. So there's a list of kind of general use patterns that work generally well for these. So those are ones that have big blocks. So anything that has an 8-inch or larger center focus. Now, mind you, the designs around it, you're going to use solids and coordinates, but if it has an 8-inch block as the center, that's generally going to work for these larger scale prints. Simple piecing. I know when we get this, we get all like wonky. We want to get all crazy. But a simple 4-patch, 9-patch, half square triangles, like big half square triangles. When we did Tim Holtz and we did those, we did the pillow kits, we had big half square triangles, and it really highlighted some of the scale on some of the prints. And so make sure that you're thinking very simple in your piecing on these. It does not have to be complex. The more complexity you add, the more muted the design is going to be, and these feature prints will get lost. Think of negative space designs, right? So you need to make sure that you're looking at a pattern that gives your eye someplace to rest. And I think one of the challenges I see is people will take, and I'm gonna keep going back to these birds just because they're so dang cute and they're so representative of kind of some of the challenges we have, is people get a pattern like this, and then they get coordinates that are all of these colors, right? And I've seen this, I've been in shops when this happened, and to be clear, I've done this myself, is they take these fabrics and they find coordinates in every single one of these colors. And before you know it, they have a very loud, very vibrant quilt. And they put all these fabrics together, and the quilt itself is very loud and vibrant. And there is a theory that you need to make sure that your quilt design gives your eye someplace to rest. That when you're looking at a quilt, and if it's all loud and vibrant, there's no place for your eye to rest, and you won't see the design that you actually intended to use your fabric with. It'll be a mashy, blurry mess. Now, if you want that, that is fantastic. But definitely think about, are there places in your quilt design for your eye to rest? And so that is where I'm going to show you a manufacturer lookbook in a minute. And so taking a large scale print and mixing it with a medium and a small scale gives your eye someplace to rest. So that way the big scale prints don't just completely merge together and get lost. You want to tell your story using this fabric. And if you've got a big scale print next to a big scale print, basically you're just going to be replicating this on fabric, and it's going to be really, really hard to see and appreciate the design of your fabric choices. So also panel style quilts. I know we're talking 6, 8, 12 inches. Panels are big quilts too. They're a big quilt. I mean, there's tons of tutorials for panel style quilts as well, and ways to cut them up, ways to repurpose them. Right? It all depends on your panel, but a panel is also a big block quilt. But there is absolutely no reason why you can't treat yardage like a panel. There's no reason why you can't take this and do a yard by width of fabric of this and put it in the center of the quilt, and then put all those really bright fabrics you've collected all around the outside. That way, this is still the focus of your quilt. Rather than it being a 12-inch block like we're trained and programmed to think of it, just make it a panel. You can make any large scale print into a panel, and just treat it like that. And so then you can look for a panel quilt pattern and use all of it. So say you've got this 1 yard of this super expensive out of print Tula Pink fabric and you can't cut it. Don't. Use all of it like a panel, and then put everything else around the outside of it as well. Okay, let's see here. So be very cautious with pattern choice if it has tiny piecing or if it's really busy or intricate piecing. You want the fabric to be the star. And if it's really busy, it's going to look like, I think I've showed you guys this quilt before, but I have a quilt we call 2020 went to a rock concert and vomited all over my fabric because it is so visually assaulting. There is no place for the eyes to rest. And you want to make sure that you're creating, and I love this line in the notes, you're creating a stage for that beautiful print to perform on. You want the beautiful print to be the centerpiece for sure. Okay. Then the third is after you've figured out how you want to cut your fabrics and you found a pattern that is going to make sure that you're happiest with how you want to cut them, layout and design. So this is before you actually cut any fabrics. Please, please, please don't start cutting the fabrics just yet. I want you guys to start laying them out. So audition your fabrics, audition what's next to it. See if you pick this bird print and you pick all the coordinates and you really like it, I want you to audition that. Lay your fabrics out on the floor. Take a photo, take a step back. If you have smaller pieces, put them on a design wall, see how they're going to play together, but make sure that you're comfortable with the placement of them. You want small scale prints next to large scale prints to make sure the large scale prints stand out appropriately and to, again, give your eyes something to rest on. If you're looking at it and your eyes are just like having a seizure, that's what your quilt is going to look like and feel like. And if you like that and you want that and it's a quilt, I'm going to say for a small child that's an I Spy quilt, then lean into that and do that. But if you're really looking for those quilts that you see where it's like this focal piece is a center point, then you have to give your eyes something to rest on. You have to have a visual rest stop. All right. Let's see here. Another question you often get is, okay, so I got this Tula Pink gray work. I love it. I got a pre-cut. I got a charm pack of 5-inch squares. And can I use it? Is it going to be the same? And I'm going to say it's good that you got all different prints, but you're going to have a lot of butts and a lot of noses and a lot of ears and a lot of claws. And so if you want the pieces, if you want the large scale prints to be the focal point of the quilts, the pre-cuts in the layer cakes and the charm packs is probably not going to be the way to go. If you want it to read as a fabric, so if you have this gray work and you just want it to be read as gray in your quilts, then please, by all means, do the pre-cut. If you're just looking for a nice gray to work in a quilt, this is going to work. But if you're buying this because of this leopard, then that charm pack, that layer cake is not going to be the way to work with you. A fat quarter has a higher probability of working with you, but if you are intent on fussy cutting out those leopards, a fat quarter might give you these. And so you just want to make sure that if you want a fussy cut, yardage is typically the best way to go if there's a print that you really like and you really want to work with. All right, from a pre-cut perspective. Let's see here. So what resources do you have available? Because I know I've been talking a lot about large scale and small scale, and you have this print and you really want to find something that's going to work with you. So what I want to do is I want to show you an example of a lookbook that we get from the manufacturers when they release new collections. So these get mailed to us as a quilt shop owner. We're taking a look at it and we're going through it. Most companies are now putting these online. So especially if you're buying fresh fabric at a quilt shop, you can go to the manufacturer's website and find this lookbook to help you find patterns that are compatible with the scale of the print that you have, as well as coordinating fabrics. And so this is Renee Nanaman. So she has been a longtime designer at Andover. Andover is one of our favorite companies. These literally are hot off the press. These have just arrived. So to give you scope and scale, these aren't going to ship until September. So you guys are seeing these collections like 9 months before we are actually going to be receiving them. And so in the lookbook, I had the page marked. In the lookbook, this is how they generally come to us. And so the larger scale prints are always these really big ones on the top in the lookbook. And so these are going to be your really big kind of focal prints. You can see they're generally printed to scale in the books. If not, it'll tell you. But the larger scale prints are going to be up here. These prints here are usually your middle scale prints. So these are meant to be your coordinates. One of the benefits to buying from a single collection is that this red is always going to be represented here. You're not going to have to go and find a red that is close enough. And if you're running by on a horse, it's going to blend. If you're buying from a collection, they're going to make sure that this red is the same as the red that's there. They're going to make sure these oranges and yellows are the same as represented in the flowers of the print. So when you're looking for fabrics to pair with this is a good kind of representation of some places for your eyes to rest if you have something that you want to blend with a larger scale focal prints. Now, something that manufacturers are doing now, and I am absolutely in love with it, is they are telling you what solids from their collection will also work as well. So if you're looking for a small scale or a solid, you don't have to guess anymore. They're putting it for you right here. So if you're working on this fabric and you're like, gosh, what color is that purple? They're putting that coordinate right here for you in the lookbook. You guys have access to all of this. This is something that you guys have access to as on the website for all the collections that are coming out. One of these exists for Tula Pink and the Gray Work collection. So if you want to know, hey, what sort of solids in Free Spirit are going to work with this, these books are very, very helpful because they will show you the large scale, the medium scale, and the small scale prints so that way you can get them all to work together. Now, the other bit that works with this is they give you patterns. So the lookbooks always include patterns. So when I was talking about, do you want your print to be a 6-inch square, an 8-inch square, half square triangle? They're going to give you a pattern in the book, in the lookbooks. These are all online. There's no secrets here, guys. And so in this one, you can see they've taken that big focal print. Here, let me see if I can hold it. Let me get this so you guys can see it. But they've taken that big focal flower and they put it there right in the middle in this pattern. And then they're also using it for a border. A border is a fantastic use of a big focal print. But then you can see how they use the coordinates. They really use the coordinates to frame that fabric so it is truly the star of this quilt design. Now, I mean, this quilt design might not be your jam. That is absolutely A-okay and correct. Hold on, there is something that is, okay. Let's see, here's the manufacturer. So this is an Andover collection. This is Renee Nanaman. She's traditionally more of a reproduction fabric, but you can see, guys, she's starting to get a little brighter because that's part of the grand millennial trend is reproduction is becoming brighter because it's becoming modern. Let's see here. And then, there's also a couple other prints patterns in here as well where she's using the fabrics a little differently. But then here's a table runner. And so I know when we have these prints, we have to think it has to be a big quilt. It doesn't have to be a big quilt. Here's a table runner where that large focal print is used as those giant quarter square triangles. It still retains its character. It still is a highlight, but the coordinates become those bear tooths, that become those bear paws that are radiating around it. And so, it does not have to be a complex, large project in order to retain the character of your design. And so these resources are available, like I said, right now. They're on the website for anything that's been released recently. So you guys can go, if you have that fabric and you're stuck on inspiration and you just want to pet it, but you actually want to use it, make sure you're using those resources that are available to you. Another very, very, very common use of a large scale print, and I saw the comment and I knew it was coming. I knew what I had coming for you guys, but kaleidoscope quilting is one of these things that is very, very common to be used with a large motif print. And I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, we got 2 mirrors and we taped them together and we would open and close and rotate them around the fabric to see how it would work in a kaleidoscope quilt. And so I want to show you guys this pattern. This is actually one that I have purchased that has, these are all a single motif that is repeated and radiated around. And so all of these are a single motif that's repeated and radiated around. Yeah. Can I hold it closer? Can I hold it closer? Okay, let's see if I can hold it closer. Let's see if we can get both Instagram and Facebook to see it. Okay. So those are single motifs that are actually repeated and radiated around because the fabric is pretty and beautiful. And so I brought one of the kits. This was a pre-cut kit. And so this is the fabric. So you guys can see this is one that when you're looking at the fabric, how is this going to read in a quilt? Is it going to be a green? Is it going to be a red? I have no idea. But by taking this and then cutting it such that it becomes this kaleidoscope print, now we can take elements and make them very, very visually interesting because you guys can see those yellow flowers are going to repeat all the way around. Those pink flowers are going to repeat all the way around in the same position. This is a kaleidoscope quilt, tons and tons and tons of resources. This is an old quilt technique using the mirrors. It's been forever since I first learned how to do this, but this is a great way to take a pattern that's usually very busy and make it more repetitive, but still very, very cute. Savannah is saying she's been too chicken to try a kaleidoscope, but they are amazing. They are very amazing when they're done. But it's not a new technique, you guys. Like I first did this when I was sewing, like when I was 14 or 15, with the mirrors and trying to figure out which motif you want to print and isolate and select. And then you stack all the fabric up and you cut it all at once. And so it does get past that hurdle of how am I going to cut it? Let's see here. So Gianna is saying she's seen Aditya Sitar, who I love, using a medium scale print to cut small hexes for her EPP projects. Instead of fussy cutting, she used color variants. Yep. And so I love English paper piecing. There's tons of resources on Instagram with challenges for English paper piecing. There's fussy cutting, there's pattern matching, there's centralizing a motif. There's a lot of different ways to fussy cut using English paper piecing, and it's a lot of fun. Savannah is going to make a kaleidoscope. I love that idea for you, Savannah. That's fantastic. All right. So some confidence boosters, because we have resources. We've kind of given you kind of a small overview of a process. We've talked about your fears. So fabric is meant to be used. I want to repeat that again. Fabric is meant to be used. It's meant to be loved, and it's meant to become something that brings joy. So we want to make sure that you're actually using the fabric for what you bought it for. You didn't buy it so it's in a box or on a shelf in your crafting. You bought it because you loved it and you saw potential in it to make something more than what it actually was. And so one of the things that I want you guys to, you're like, oh, it's too pretty to cut. Oh, I just want to pet it. Oh, I just want to look at it. And here's my challenge to you for all the fears we talked about. The fabric is already perfect. The fabric is already ready to go. You just need to start using it. And so whatever you make with it is going to be perfect too. It doesn't matter if the little nose on the leopard is like 2 inches away from where you want it to be. The person who receives it's going to love it, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to serve its function, and it's going to be beautiful no matter what you do. And so I'm going to encourage you guys to break rules on these too. There is no right way, because it's your way, and your way is the right way. So some of the most fascinating quilts I've seen with large scale prints really break the rules. They push the boundaries. They see with a kaleidoscope and they're like, hey, I wonder if I, instead of a kaleidoscope, I did ... And that's where a lot of fun and creativity comes from. That's where inspiration comes from. That's where I see a lot of fun things. And I like that these bold prints give us permission to use more than just small scale prints or solids, right? We can make these what we want them to be. It doesn't have to be a solid or a pin dot and just read as a color. We can make it read however you want to make it. Okay, so I want to recap everything we've covered today. So practical tips that you guys can take away. So Savannah, when you jump in and start making that kaleidoscope quilt, you have some information. So 1, choose patterns with larger blocks and simple piecing. Keep the piecing simple on these guys. It does not have to be complex. 2, don't be afraid to fussy cut when it matters to you. If it's important to you, fussy cut it. Don't accept a leopard butt if it's not going to make you happy. 3, pair large prints with solids or low volume fabrics. Your eyes need a place to rest when you're working with these fabrics. 4, step back and look at your layout before you start sewing. Make sure you take a photo. Make sure you look, is this color going to be too close to? Is it far enough away from? Ask all those questions before you start cutting and before you start sewing. 5, take photos to help you see your project objectively. I know I see this a lot. People take a photo, they think they're done, they post it on social media, and they're like, oh, I made a mistake, right? Take the photo before you sew so that way you don't get the uh-oh moment. Try and prevent that as much as you can. 6, remember that fabric is meant to be used. And 7, there is absolutely no such thing as too pretty to be cut. All right, let's see here. So if you have made a quilt using large scale prints, please head to our Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group and post your photo for inspiration. As we've got all these people that have information, let's give inspiration as well. So head over to the group, post a photo, see if we can, through this weekend, fill that feed with large scale blocks and quilts that have been made. So let me first talk about this guy before I get to our giveaway, because I completely jumped over it. It's like a whole new background. You think I would have seen it and actually prioritized it, but it's one of those, I wanted to talk about pretty fabric because it was all sitting right here. But what I have behind me is I have our night sky for our Field of Dreamers puzzle mystery quilt. And so what we are going to do is, with the first package that you get, so be it your prepaid box or your Clue one, we are going to include a 2.5-inch square of fabric. And we're going to ask you guys to cut out a star of any shape. We've given you a template if you choose, but a star of any shape. Write your name on it, mail it back to us, and we're going to add it to our night sky of Field of Dreamers. These are people that inspire us, which are you guys. And so we're going to build this out and see our community grow. We did this for Tree of Life, and we have our tree with all the leaves on it of everyone that participated in Tree of Life. But we're going to do it again for Field of Dreamers. So when you receive your package and when you receive your little square of fabric and it has the instructions, that's exactly what it is. All the address is on there. So go ahead and take that piece of fabric, cut out your star, put your name on it, and we will add you to our night sky here, and we will see the sky grow. As of course, it's blank because we haven't sent anything out yet, but as we start to send this out, we will give you guys updates. We'll build a website, and you guys can see all the stars that get added to it. Okay, thank you guys so much for reminding me about that. It's one of those, I got to get back into the swing of things. I still feel like I'm stuck in New Year's. All right, so Now for our giveaway. So if you've hung with us to the end, find this video on Facebook, on Instagram, or on YouTube and answer this question to win a $25 gift certificate to the Cotton Cut Shop. What's one large scale print that you've been too intimidated to cut into? And what project do you think you're going to use it for now? So what is that one print that you've been too intimidated to cut into? And what project do you think you might use it for now? Oh my gosh, for me, there's way too many, guys. I'm a fabric collector. I think I have some Alexander Henry in there that I am probably too afraid to cut into because it's got, people that are like 24 inches tall. Yeah, I think those are probably the ones that I am probably the least, because I know whatever project I pick for it, it's permanent. And that is my own fear, which I will have to get back because I now have a ton of tips that we've been sharing with everybody on this. So go ahead and find this video, answer that question. What's the one large scale print you've been too intimidated to cut into, and what project do you think you might use it for now? We'll pick one winner for the $25 gift card. Before we go, I want to remind you that all of our shows are kept on YouTube. So if you in 6 months are like, hey, I want to use large scale prints, this video is kept there for you guys to go back and rewatch and convince yourself that no fabric is too pretty not to be cut. Don't forget, if you have questions, go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit them. Don't forget, Field of Dreamers signups close soon. Luau starts in 2 weeks. We have our YouTube live sale tomorrow. Yeah, it's a crazy time around here, but it's super fun. And I am so excited that you guys joined us. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you guys get tons of sewing in this weekend, and we will see you all very soon. Bye now. And cut. Thank you so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.